Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day, ciao, buonasera, whatever it is, wherever you're listening, welcome to this episode of the Digital Access Show. Today, I've got a guest that I'm really excited to introduce you to. I've not met Patrick myself before. I've been introduced to Patrick through another lady I know, the wonderful Rebecca. And Patrick uses assistive technology tools. Obviously, being vision impaired myself, I can't see Patrick. So I'm going to leave Patrick to tell you about Patrick's journey, how he's ended up where he is. And everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Patrick Dillon. Welcome, Patrick, and thanks for coming and chatting to us.
Thank you, Narelle. My name's Patrick Dillon. I had an accident 2007. I was working in the mines and I swung off a rope into a river on a sort of a day off, hot day. Went to go cool off about with the local waterhole and not sure what happened. I think I might have hit a log or a sandbar, but I ended up breaking my neck. Broke my neck in three spots, C4, C5 and C6. I was rushed to hospital. Luckily, there was a hospital nearby. I was then airlifted to my camping hospital. Not because not only because I'd broken my neck, but because I actually drowned at the scene. So I had a lot of complications, a lot of water on the lungs. So not only getting over the spinal cord injury, but also getting over the fact of drowning. Then basically stabilised at the Rockhampton Hospital and sent to the PA Hospital, which of course is pretty much Australia, so but the best spinal hospital in Australia. So I went there. I had I think nearly a 2 year 2 years in hospital at the PA Hospital. Rehabilitating my life. I was paralysed from the neck down, so I can shrug my shoulders at the start of going into my eye. So for the first few months, 6 months or something, I couldn't talk, I could just wink my eyes. So when I wanted something, had friends come up and they would, first of all, they gave me the alphabet board where they would point to the letters and I'd wink. And then so start spelling it out, and then they realised that they could a bit more adaptation. So they said, "Oh, well, there was some things like scratch my head or scratch my nose, and can I have a drink of water?" So then they
Important
became,
thing.
yeah. So they then became the like on the side was certain instructions, but then there was still the alphabet, which at the start was quite frustrating. Like my dad would sometimes help me out and would spell stuff when he'd come up and visit. He was there all the time for me every day. And he would come up and like he would get to the end of a word or something and forget what he was spelling. So he'd be like, oh, and back then, he only had a few facial expressions. So so that was my journey at the start. And then so after I sort of got out of ICU, got my sort of like my lungs back and my speech back and my eating back, I went down to the spinal ward and then started basically beginning rehabilitation. Rehabilitation in the spinal ward is definitely a journey for different people. Some people are learning how to use manual chairs. Some people are learning how to use electric chairs. I was learning how to use my electric chair, driving it with my chin, and also technology. Now back then technology wasn't as great. There was still good technology, it wasn't as great. So I think back then we started using for myself Dragon, naturally speaking, for dictation.
Yep.
So that was something that I'm looking into. And then, so while the OTs were giving us that sort of knowledge base about the dragon dictation, then they were sort of like adapting other things, like saying, if you could do dragon, you could dictate, you could start doing assignments, you could probably study or something like
Mm.
that. So sort of creating a journey for me at the spinal ward.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't know. I've never really been into technology, but I think when it's part of your life now, yeah, you just I don't know, it just becomes like you just get really involved in it. Always, I don't know, looking into the future or looking at technology and seeing how it can work in my life. Or, I used to ask people about their things. There's a few times in hospital where I think when we first went to hospital and, they're getting equipment for home, and they used to give me this, they were going to give me this thing, which was they called it, I don't know what it was called, but a progress back then, a progress,
Mm.
and it bolts onto the end of onto your bed,
Yeah.
and it has letters and numbers, and a letter, say A1, would be turning the television on, A2 might be turning volume, A3, and it would have different letters and numbers and stuff, and that was quite, I was thinking that was quite big, and I'm like, yeah, but that's just one thing. What about if I wanted to have Foxtel or amp, like music and stuff? And they're like, oh no, back then people were just happy just having the technology to turn their television on. And I'm like, oh, I would rather not do this. So anyway, I wrote a letter to the government. They'd only give you so much funding back in the spinal ward for
Yeah.
equipment. So I wrote a letter to the government and kept on harassing them. Anyway, they gave me a grant, and I was able to get this new technology that came out, which was a grid pattern, like an iPad
Yep.
basically. It was a grid pattern progress. You could have pictures on it. You could create your own pictures, and then it would go. It would have a picture of a television, say a picture of radio, or a picture of a fan, or a picture of a light, or something like that. And what it would do is you would blow into a straw, and it would scroll through it. And once it got to the picture that you wanted, you would then blow or puff, sip or puff again onto this icon. So let's say it was television, and then it would open
Yeah.
up another menu that would have, turn
Right.
the television on, channels changing. So that was exciting for me. I was like, yes, I'm gonna be able to do that in my bed. Um,
It's a big journey though, Patrick, isn't it? So you're a tradie in the mines or a truckie or
yeah, yeah, all of the above. Yes, yeah,
yeah, yeah, going from that to having to relearn and really get into technology. I have to admit, I actually grew up in that area. So when you said the mines, I thought, you said rock, I thought, yeah, yep, know exactly where you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, out there, just to set the scene as well for the audience, back in the 2000s, I remember mum and dad were still living at a small place called Baralaba, where I grew up. And yeah, I had a mobile phone, but there were only two or three spots where a mobile phone would work at Baralaba. Outside the cattle yard, outside where the old morgue used to be, and from memory, I think it used to be at the rubbish dump. So, Patrick, you wouldn't have had access to the technology at Baralaba or out in the mines because the mobile phones weren't there that you could use. The networks weren't there. So it would have been a big change for you going from there to to having to relearn everything.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Like I mean, back out in the mines and stuff. I think like you said, like I was in the camps out there,
Yeah,
and I think we had to walk like 200 meters or 300 meters or K down the road just to call dad. There were
yeah,
certain, as you said, like black spots and stuff.
yep.
But yeah, but just the actual technology's all changed. Like I'll be honest, I knew how to use a computer, but
Mm,
yeah, but not like how I know how to use one now, really in depth in computers now.
mm,
But just the technology, I mean, I've seen how much it's involved, over just a period of my injury has been, unbelievable. Just in the technology on the chairs, and
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of a keen. Well, I'm an M&R, but I'm pretty keen to always learn about different technology and
Mm.
how people use it, and
Yeah,
also I suppose to give the people what my technology is and what sort of automation I have at home.
yeah. So Patrick, going from having to relearn all that technology, learning to use it in a completely different way to the way you were using it, to being as independent as you are, you work full time again. You're on a various committees around the joint, advocating and different things for people with disability. What type of technologies do you use every day to keep yourself independent? And I believe you've got a child. So, you've got homework to do there as well.
Yes, yes. With the child side of things, I'm just basically I've got my chair, so I'm basically just a wheeling playground for her, a wheeling climbing frame. So it's just So that's But on the technology, we've adapted my wheelchair for her. Like we've got seats that sit on the front of it, so she can sit there, and
Yeah,
we've got towing points and stuff like that. With the work side of things, like I find I've got like a three-screen computer thing at home.
yeah,
And I just don't only use the three screens. I'll use them a lot, and it's not just because I mean, I probably would use it before if I wouldn't have had this disability, but with the disability as well, I do my mouse with my chin.
okay,
So how that works basically is my wheelchair is a chin controlled wheelchair.
yeah,
So I move my wheelchair with my chin. But when I pull up to any device like a computer, I can then turn my chair into a Bluetooth and my chin controller becomes a mouse.
okay. That's
So yeah, so if I'm out and about, I can just press a button on my wheelchair. It goes to Bluetooth. I can pick what device it is. If it's my phone, I'll just press that, and then I can use my chin controller on my phone as a little mouse pointer,
yeah.
and then do a click and drag and a click thing to and stuff. And then the
Isn't
same as a computer.
isn't innovation unbelievably brilliant? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
what it allows us to do. So again, you use your computers and your phones to control a lot of things in the house, the light, air conditioning, TV,
Yes,
watch the
yes.
wiggle,
Yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah.
important things.
Yes, so on my bed I have like an iPad, and I
Mm.
have a technology called oh God, I forgot what it's called. Housemate.
Yep,
It is basically a scrolling, same as Progress. It's got pictures of houses and pictures of the house and a picture of television or lights or aircon and so forth. And the same thing again. It's a sip and puff. I have a straw with a sip and puff.
yep,
You can have as many straws as you want. One control box can either be sip and one can be puff. So I have like what do you call it? On my bed, I have a system of straws, and they do certain things. Like one would control the environmental control unit, so
yep,
then I can control stuff around the house. Some of them control the doors, the front doors, the back doors, um, the front gate if I let someone in, and then some control the lights. But I have backup with the lights as well because some of my stuff is controlled by Google. So it's
okay,
automation, so it's all voice as well. So
yeah,
I have the voice side of things, but then I always have, and so you can always just wheel around and yell out to Google around the house, and it can do all those things. But if the internet ever goes down, I've still got my chair that has the same technology, and my bed that has
yeah,
the same technology, and that's opening blinds up, that's sitting up in bed, it's turning televisions on. So it's it's not everything, but it's definitely way enough to keep yourself occupied through the day.
yeah. What other challenges do you find then, Patrick, to on the net to accessing information? Is there particular things that you look at and think, oh, I wish they'd just fix that?
Uh, I'm actually pretty cool with technology. I mean, there's so
Mm.
much more that's happening and adapting, and I think that a lot of things that people don't understand. I think back in the day when I first had my accident, that people didn't understand that there was assistive technology to help people with wheelchairs and people with disabilities, and then there was the actual technology where you just have people that want life easier. They
Yeah.
don't even have to be a disability.
Mm.
They could be just able-bodied people that just wanted a home automation. They want to hold an iPad and they don't want to go up, turn the lights off upstairs and stuff like that. And I think back in the day, they they were so separate. And I think now they're slowly entwining and coming together so that people understand that, okay, like on some of these companies that they've gone like they've done a lot of home automation and they've realized, okay, well, home automation doesn't just deal with some rich people that live in nice big
Yeah.
houses and want to do that. It's actually people with disabilities can use home automation. So it's actually starting to all come together and the
Yeah.
technologies all come together now. It's just, I think there's a lot of technology out there. There's heaps and heaps of technology out there.
Yeah.
I think what the problem we have at these days is we don't have the people and that all the facilities where everyone's happy to sell a product, but they're not happy. When your product goes down or fails,
Mm.
there's not the support out there. And I'm talking about the software support or the product support. That's the problem I think where things fail. Um, and I think also, some people, there's not enough people that use these products or know about these products.
Yeah.
So,
It's an interesting one there because I agree. I mean, for me, obviously, I'm very dependent on screen readers. And when they do an update that changes one thing slightly, a classic is Microsoft Outlook. The new version of Microsoft Outlook is going to be a web version. And I'm so used to using the shortcut keys that using the web version is so frustrating because I
yeah,
can't anymore. I've got to tab more. I've got to, use a lot more keystrokes to do the same thing. And that's frustrating
yeah.
because it takes me longer. I mean, my other one at the moment is I keep getting bills lately that are not tagged correctly so I can read them.
Oh, okay. Yep, yep.
And that's frustrating because if I can't read my full electricity bill and know my usage, I've got a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't
Yeah.
budget anything else. What type of issues do you have in that area, or you're pretty lucky?
I'm pretty good. I mean, I think technology always is going to have their bugs, and they're always going to have you know updates and
Mm.
things aren't working. I use Dragon a lot,
Yeah.
and Dragon sometimes fails. And last week I did an software update, like you said, and it
Mm.
actually changed the whole screen format
Oh,
of how it works. And I was like, it took me a whole day to find out how to get it back
yeah.
to normal. And I think sometimes, um, yeah, I think updates are definitely a killer, especially on
Yeah.
phones and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I don't think, but yeah, I don't know, if these guys, the people that do it, they're trying to, make the projects or make the programs and the applications, get better but they're not realizing what the damage can be done. Yeah, especially
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I always find, I don't know about everyone, but I always found that, a lot of spinal guys and girls, we're
Mm.
like old people. We just like routine. We like the product that works. We don't like new products. We want to stick to that product. And it kind of, there's always someone out there saying, oh, you'll try this new product. And it's very hard I find it very difficult. I think I've probably spent thousands of dollars on new products and put them back in a box and thought, oh, no, they don't work well for me. And there's probably a big shed full of them.
And I got to admit, I'm the same for me. And it's even like, obviously, I use canes a lot. And I'm really excited because I've got this new cane called a no jab cane. Because we're going to Italy this year. And the cobblestones, the last time I went to Italy, it wrecked my canes, the cobblestones, just completely wrecked them.
Yeah, right.
And, yeah, and it was just, and I thought, okay, we'll get a different type. And I'm really excited to go now because I just want to try the cane. And it's, oh,
Yeah.
this will be a bit fun. Let's see if it works the way it should. But yeah, but one of my other pet hates for me is at the moment it's audio description. I'm loving ABC because for me, I'm a fan of Mustard Dog, which is an ABC TV show and talking about training dogs and cattle
Yep.
dogs. And this year it was border collies, which is right up my alley. And I loved it. And Mustard Dogs is audio described, so I could sit there and I can listen and I can hear what's going on. But if I go to the football and listen, because I'm a mad NRL fan, and
Yeah.
like this coming week with the NRL, I don't want to hear about the commentators back in '94. I want to know where everyone's on the play or where they're playing, what positions they're in, you know, like
Yeah.
is the where the fullback's actually standing and positioned so that because if you can see it visually, it's fine. But I can't see whether the fullback's dropped right back or, so
Yeah.
and those
Yeah.
things. And I find those are great big barriers for me. From the sounds of it, you have different barriers or challenges. I prefer the word challenges. It's more
Yeah,
positive.
challenges is pretty good. I mean, challenges is always going to be challenging. I think with me, I think it's just the biggest challenges are internet,
Yeah.
which is everyone's challenge. I mean, when the internet goes out at my house, it's not just me. The kids
Mm.
come down. What the hell? The internet's gone out. Like it's like
Yep.
yeah, but it's actually like a big thing for me. It's for me that's Google. That's a lot of the voice
Yeah.
activation stuff. I'm lucky to have that, but I'm also power. Power. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because I mean everything in my house runs on power. I mean, apart from
Yep.
the obvious, but beds,
Yep.
equipment,
Yep.
chairs, and all that sort of stuff
Yeah.
is all definitely it's all definitely power. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I tend to think that the actual technology side of things, I mean, I don't really have much issues. I stick with what I know, and
Yep.
then resource if it's like a new a chair coming out or something. I'm always on top of it. The basic, like if it's a new headset or
Yeah.
something for Jabra, to do with some computer technology or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
always like looking for a new one or trying to make sure I stay on top of the one I've got now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that the biggest killer is basically power and internet is my biggest
Yeah.
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's something I don't think about because for me, for me, it's losing power. I just have my phone. I've got a couple of battery chargers, and that's all I need. I can keep going. But for you, it's a very different thing again, isn't it?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it is everything for you. Um,
yeah, for sure. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, losing power, yeah. I mean, you can't use. There's nothing you can. I mean, I'm not easily bored, so
mm,
I can amuse myself.
yeah,
But my bed relies on electricity.
yeah,
The mattresses rely. Your pressure mattresses rely on electricity. Um, as I said, Google. So all the home automation,
yeah,
all actually the whole home automation is run on internet and
yeah,
power. I
yeah,
have a barrel backup thing, but the internet is a big thing. So
yeah,
you
and
know,
that's it. So
yeah. So
what about like web pages and trying to access information? Do you find design and structure of web pages can be problematic for you?
Um, no, I don't seem to have much difficulty with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
As I said, I've got the chin controller. It
yeah,
gets me to where I need to be. I am lucky. I do have my vision, and yeah,
mm,
and I do, yeah, and the dragon, the naturally speaking dragon, you talk, you type, you want something. If you want something open, it does a command and opens it.
yeah,
So that's it's pretty. It's pretty. I mean, that's happened over a period of time. But yeah,
mm.
but
Patrick,
yeah, I'm pretty lucky with that sort of thing. I think.
Patrick, it's fascinating to talk to you of all things that you can't, you know my hometown because not many people do.
No,
Um,
no, that's crazy.
yeah, it is. It's crazy, all right. You probably did see my dad at the pub.
Yeah,
Uh,
most probably. Yes,
oh
yes.
yeah, my dad in his old Jackie Howe and his khaki shorts because that's what he liked to wear, or his old button-up shirt, and he was a happy old bushy. And it's amazing the where life takes us, Patrick. I know I'm on a
Yes.
completely different journey, and I'm loving it. And I do hope
Yeah.
that you're, even with everything that's happened, that you are finding joy in your life because we can't change the past, we can only change the future.
No, most definitely, most definitely. You know, like and as I said, like you know, I see that I can understand those problems that you'd be having with your with like web pages and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think the most struggles I have, I think, you know, are like the lights don't turn off on the
Yep.
back because something's gone down, or the you know the frequency or the radio waves and you know hitting the internet inside or something.
Yeah.
But you know, they're not major things. I mean, I have my other little difficulties with my chair and technology on my chair and stuff, but it's actually like I don't know. I always think that where I've come from to where I am now, I think it's sort of you sort of don't. I don't know if I have like a half an hour when I'm out of technology, I'm sort of like, okay, I'll go do something else,
Yeah.
or yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just luckily, I think when you come from no technology from the start to
Yep.
coming to a lot of technology, it's yeah, that journey is actually quite good. I like that. You
Yeah,
sort
I
of
do
like
too.
appreciate appreciate sort of you can appreciate what you've got now and sort of like okay, I don't need to worry too much about this isn't working now or that isn't working now.
Yeah. Look, Patrick, I can't thank you enough for today because, I've really enjoyed talking to you and we are going to keep catching up because this
Yeah,
is
no
brilliant.
worries.
And
Yeah, I've got,
thanks,
I've got a lot of
Patrick.
technology I can talk about. Like I've got my house is just a world of technology.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'm happy to share any other ideas or anything
great.
else. Yeah.
And Patrick, how can people contact you if they want to contact you and have a chat about anything?
I have my own website,
Yeah,
um, which is patrick-dillon.com.
yep,
Um, but apart from that, I mean, I'm happy for you to give out my number or email address.
yep.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
if
I'll,
everyone wants to
well,
get in contact with me.
yeah, I'll stick it on the end of the podcast for everyone. And
Yeah,
thanks again, Patrick. It's been fantastic talking to you. So
yeah, thank
see
you
you
very
all.
much.
We'll see everyone next time on the Digital Access Show. So please like, subscribe, and share to everyone. Let everyone know about the Digital Access Show. And if you really love what we're doing, please give us a review. See you next time. Yeah.